Hi everyone, welcome back to the Mate Night Podcast, where we are ranking every film ever made.
Hello, Dave.
This week is Gladiator, a 2000 Swords and Sandals revenge epic. As always, we will rate it out of 10 just based on how much we enjoyed this film. We'll chat for 10 minutes and then we'll each present a change that we've brought and finish up with ranking the film out of 10 in 7 further categories, trying to be as objective as possible. We're going to take the average and that should tell us whether this film was good or not. Mm-hmm. Who goes first?
I'll go.
Okay, you go. Okay, right. I'm going to count you in.
Yeah.
Ready? Anything to add before we go?
No, I'm ready.
Okay. On the count of 3, the main night score of the Swords and Sandal epic, directed by Ridley Scott, a revenge plot. 3, 2, 1.
8.0.
9.5.
Wow. Holy cow.
That's the end of the episode. Thank you very much.
Holy shit.
What a film.
9.5. Wow.
Oh, mate. Wow.
I know you do really like this one. Jeez. So
I didn't realize how much I loved it
top?
as well. That's my top. Yeah, that's my number one. Yeah. And you know what? I stand by it. The more I thought about it, I've been thinking about this all week. And you know what? I was like, every time I went back to, is it better than The Godfather? Is it better? Do I like it more than The Godfather? Do I like it more than The Thing? Do I like it? Mate, I fucking love this film so much.
Yeah, okay.
It
Why?
is. I don't even know. I was trying to figure out. I mean, I think, I was thinking about there's something so unbelievably satisfying about a revenge plot that is successful, or a redemption thing. I mentioned this about Shawshank Redemption recently, where like that kind of sense of something being just and happening is so important. The whole growth, the whole, like, you take this character which has earned his position, you take everything away from him, and all he's got left is his philosophies, his character, and just see that character just carry him through from one act to the next, just one setting to the next, and just like within 2 battles, he's already another general. He's just a general of a different army. But like everyone just knows how fucking awesome this guy is.
Exploration of a great man.
Yes, that's it. It's an exploration of the coolest motherfucker ever. Oh my God, it's so good. I loved it so much.
Fair play. All right.
When he's like, "Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?"
I was like, "Yes, I am."
Yeah, there are some moments in it. Are you not entertained? My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
Yes.
Father to a murdered son.
I get
Husband
goosebumps.
to a murdered wife.
Oh,
and I will
mate.
have my vengeance in this life or the next. Yeah, brilliant.
It's not perfect.
Ollie Reed.
Yeah.
I didn't say I knew him. I said he touched me on the shoulder once.
Yes. You know what as well? This is part of the thing that I really appreciate about it was I've not watched this film in a long time. I watched this maybe twice when I was younger, and I liked it growing up. I was like, yeah, that was a good film. But I watched it this time and I was like, I knew that there was this guy, Ollie Reed, who everyone was like, he's an important person. He died from serious alcohol issues. During this, I thought I'd heard about that. But it meant nothing to me as a kid. And then I saw this and I was like, he is cool. Like, I like him. He's really cool. And then Joaquin Phoenix, like that creepy motherfucker. Like, oh.
See, I never rated Joaquin Phoenix in this.
Really?
That was the one so I gave it an 8.0. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it more this time than the first time I watched it.
Okay.
And we spoke about it, and you said we should do Gladiator, and I was like, yeah, I never really cared for Gladiator.
Right.
And I was pleasantly surprised. And you, like your pump up speech then has made me want to go home and rewatch it. I was like, it is fucking good, isn't it?
So
it's amazing.
good.
I was like, it is great. It's a great film. But yeah, what didn't I enjoy?
He's the original Joffrey. This is what I was thinking when I was watching it. I was like, I hate you.
Yeah, his accent annoyed me. He doesn't do a very good English
I
accent.
don't know his accent. So
I mean, he was mopey and whiny and weaselly and weak. But I just found it kind of bizarre how weak he was. But also in other areas, he was supposedly ambitious and driven. Maybe it was just not in front of his father that he was really mopey, but then he kills him. So it wasn't just that I'd say it's mainly his performance that I find annoying.
Really?
And I like Joaquin Phoenix. I think
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix is really good.
Just a little bit too.
Just didn't do it for me in that.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, annoyingly, a lot of it is the English accent. I think it might have just been better if he'd done American. But
Okay.
also, he's just so weaselly and whiny. But
That's what I liked though. It's like you really just hate this absolute
that's a fair
piece.
point.
Like, and he
Fair
gets what's coming to him, and like, you know, oh, I'm all for, you know, I like it morally grey and all that. But every now and then, I like a bad guy to get what's coming to him, you know. And this just makes me hate his guts.
Yeah, I think fair enough. Okay, one thing that I also I never really liked the ending.
Okay, walk me through what, like, explain to our audience the ending, just the bit that you're talking about.
So he's obviously this gladiator has gone through the whole film and been just smoking everyone. He's the Spaniard. Don't touch him. He's been absolutely running rings around everyone.
Reputation.
Joaquin Phoenix, we've discovered, is a weakling, weak as piss. But for some reason, they throw in that scene of him doing his practice.
Just to make sure you understand, he's not
that weak.
He's not that, like, he can do combat.
Yeah, he's just fearful, I guess.
They say he's scared.
Scared.
He's too scared of everything. That's what it is. But he's not incompetent. He's just.
But then he, you know, knifes him and then decides, okay, I'm gonna actually fight you here, and then the other his guard turn against him. And I know that they gave the reasons.
Yep.
So I don't think this is bad storytelling or anything like that.
Okay.
Like it wasn't out of left field.
Yeah.
I just was like, does it really need to come to a head where they're fighting against each other and he's wounded him, but he still overturns him? And you know what? I'm gonna say this. It's still good. It's not bad. It's just for a film that epic.
Yeah.
With so many epic moments.
Yeah.
Yes, it's pretty cool when he turns a knife on him, but then the way he dies and he's actually like even has time to stand up and have a moment and say, "This is what Marcus Aurelius wanted. Heed my last words." And then he dies, and then Derek Jacobi comes in and said, "We all need to lift him up." I've always just thought, okay, the ending doesn't really do it.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you mean. Actually, there were elements. I think this kind of highlights part of the thing that I really did like about it was that kind of got through the gaps a little bit. But to me, for a 24-year-old film, it didn't, like, there weren't that many moments that felt like that age.
Fair enough. Yeah, I agree. I do. I was trying to pick things that I disliked based on how, you know, you really, really liked this one. And I've given it an 8. But I gotta say, we had Casino last last act. We just recorded it
last week.
We both
about an hour ago.
Yeah, we both like, I'm never watching that film again.
Yeah.
I literally have come out of this not expecting for you to hype me so much back into. Rachel couldn't watch it with me, and basically, I haven't told you this, so. We stopped putting Amazon Prime on to go to bed, and Gladiator was on Amazon Prime for a while. And I had it in my head like, that's just a perfect film to go to bed to. It's like an epic. I'll enjoy listening to that sort of vibe, action, but also intrigue and plot. A bit of escapism to drift off into sleep to. And she's like, no chance. I'm not. I'll put it on. And she's like, what have you put on? And I'm like, Gladiator. And she's like, turns it off. She's never watched it. But she just doesn't like the idea of that sort of film going to bed to.
Yeah,
so
I can understand that.
With us deciding to do this, I was like, well, we can watch it. I'll show you it. See what you think. And she had too much work on, so she didn't manage to watch it. But now I am 100% going to just go home and say, let's watch this.
Yeah, it's good, man. Same thing for me and Faye. She's not watched it with me. Yeah. And I'm like, we are watching this. Like, we have to.
What did Faye think?
No, she hasn't yet. That's my point.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but like, a part of the reason I want her to watch it is so that I can watch it again. Like, I don't care if she falls asleep. I'm just going to watch it again.
It is a film of unbelievable moments.
That character, you are right. And I spent so long preparing for my what if that I didn't get a lot of time to think about why I love this film so much. But you are right. I think that it is the character. It is that main character for me is just, it resonates with me so much. Like, he is so cool. Just the whole way through. his actions, the way
You love a cool protagonist. That
Yes.
really gets you.
yes,
That always
yeah,
gets
because like The Thing, like you know what I mean, like
you.
Kurt Russell, like,
Kurt Russell could have killed it in this.
he probably would have done. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I mean, it needed Ridley Scott behind it. I did think of another thing that really made me appreciate it was like. It's the only thing I've ever watched, and I haven't watched a lot of things like this, but where even though it's 24 years old, I actually felt like I got to kind of see a little bit like what Rome streets might have felt like. You know, that a lot of the kind of the skyline looked kind of shit, but when it was on the streets and they had like hundreds of extras walking around outside the Colosseum, something about it felt very, very real to me. And I just thought it was such a cool, it really felt like I was kind of getting to see a little bit of like what Rome could have felt like when I've been to the Colosseum, right? And it's got people with selfie sticks and flags and caps and and so, you know, it doesn't feel like it was part of any, it kind of breaks that immersion. And then you watch Ridley Scott's interpretation 25 years ago and you're like, this feels amazingly real to me considering how old this was. So
yeah, you know what, it's a great film. I mean, maybe it will come up in my estimations to be honest, but I enjoyed it more than I thought.
8's great.
8 is great.
8's a great score.
Yeah, 8 is great. Oliver Reed, amazing.
Do you like Oliver Reed? You keep saying his name with a grin.
Oliver Reed, just look into Oliver Reed. There are some amazing stories. One of the Hellraisers of he was actually kind of almost a second generation Hellraiser, and funnily enough, one of the first proper like Irish and Brits conquering Hollywood, drinking stories abound. Right. One of the others was Richard Harris, who is in Gladiator as Marcus Aurelius. So him, Peter O'Toole, who's in Lawrence of Arabia, they were like, Peter O'Toole and Richard Harris were very close friends.
Yeah,
and they've got amazing drinking stories. Like, I recommend anyone watching this. I hope it's still up, but there's about a 25-minute video of Richard Harris and Peter O'Toole going on different late night shows in the US, saying drinking stories quite often about each other.
Yeah.
And their quality, some of the best stories. They're great raconteurs.
Yeah,
amazing stories. Oliver Reed was almost like a young gun who came on the scene and rivaled them for that position as one of the kind of younger Hellraisers. And he also has a story or two. And there are some amazing interviews of him. They used to just roll him out and get him hammered because it was just
so
box office
funny.
television.
Yeah, okay.
And there's some incredible interviews which I'll show you. Some of them I can't even repeat. But interesting stories. I'm pretty sure he had a tattoo on his penis they used to show people as well.
Right.
And then in this, my understanding is this was kind of a return to form. This is going to be a big budget film. You've got a great part. Stay sober for it. And he did to almost all the way through the shoot. And near the end of filming, he had like the mother of all blowouts. And
that was what knocked the nail in the coffin. And
I would have to recheck, but yeah, my understanding is like, it
was a specific night where he drank too much.
Yeah, there have been. I know there are instances on other sets where he got almost all the way through and then ended up like having a $4,000 bar tab on one night near the end just to like celebrate, and it hadn't finished. He would have a week left. God. And similarly, so he died just before this. And there's actually some CGI in the film, like early use of putting his face onto different. Near the end, you can kind of tell, but quality individual. Yeah,
and he was
proud gladiator.
He did a great job of his performance in that, like
rising and rising.
Yes,
awesome.
Like you bought it, man. Lucilla was pretty cool. Marcus Aurelius was quite cool. Like
love Richard Harris.
The supporting characters were interesting characters, like knocking about. I liked the Senate. I would have liked to have seen a little more of the Senate, but we got Gladiator 2 coming out, so maybe we will get some.
I am ready. Hit me, Jambo.
Okay. Right, Freddie. I've got 15% of a story I wrote to tell you, which I've had to cut to death. Okay, Right. In Gladiator, Marcus Aurelius is murdered just moments before he can safely pass the most powerful seat in human history into safe hands. The consequences of this are quite serious. But what if he hadn't made this mistake? He wanted to make Maximus the emperor, but how would that have really played out? Just to be clear, this is what happens in the movie. Marcus Aurelius is the emperor. He's coming to the end of his life, and he decides he wants to pass his power to Maximus, who is the handsome, likable, honorable general of his army, rather than his own son Commodus, who's just a bit of a creep. Now, good old Mark decides to tell Maximus of his intentions alone. He then tells Commodus of his intentions again alone. He makes no effort whatsoever to write his intentions down, no effort to tell a trusted official of the government, and plainly no failsafe for if, say, Commodus tries something a little rash like murder. Now, upon being absolutely bamboozled by the idea that Commodus is a little disappointed he's not going to be the ruler of the planet, Marcus's frail old face is hugged to death. Maximus finds the dead emperor, knows exactly what happened, and tells Commodus to shove it where the sun don't shine. Maximus and his family are brutally murdered by our new favourite public servant, except Maximus survives, and through what can only be described as complete and utter badassery, he comes back and fucks shit up.
Nice.
Now, we have an outstanding film.
Okay.
I don't want to change it, but at Mate Night, when we do an episode, we always have to bring a change.
Let's go, baby.
So, there are 3 specific questions to answer for a clear picture of how things might have played out had Marcus's intentions been realized. I've prepared an answer for each. I'm going to read it out. Then, Fred, you're going to let me know what you think, and our fantastic audience will help us out in the comments below.
Let's go.
Question 1. How does Marcus pass the reins to Maximus a little more carefully? By this, I mean, how do you break the news to Commodus without dying? So, let's clarify exactly where we're going to diverge from the original film's plot. After the final battle for Germania, where Maximus's army defeats the barbarians, Aurelius, Maximus, and Commodus are all on site.
Yeah.
Marcus tells Maximus his plan to make him emperor, and Maximus says, I really, really wanted to retire. Can I think about it? They agree to wait until the end of the day for Maximus to come back with a decision. Now, this is where we diverge, because unlike in the film, Marcus would probably wait for Maximus's decision before mentioning anything to Commodus. So let's assume that he actually does that. Maximus, true to his word, comes back by the end of the day and he accepts emperorship. Mm-hmm. Now, I've not gone into a whole load of spiel about, well, I have, but I've cut that, about why he might do that. But I think we can assume, based on the evidence... He
leans in that he was going to.
He's Marcus a dutiful man.
You have to, because you're the only one who doesn't want to.
Marx is pretty convinced that he's going to take it.
Yeah,
so much so that he tells Commodus before the decision's even made.
Maybe he was just trying to...
Cause
if Maximus is saying, I don't want it, be like, well, I've already told Commodus. Well, you have to tell him.
You have to break the news to him. So, understanding the stakes for Commodus.
Okay.
He's spent his whole life planning for this. Marcus decides to take a decisive yet gentle approach to breaking the news to his child. As a failsafe for anything going slightly awry, he pens a letter declaring his intention to appoint Maximus as his successor, tells only his daughter Lucilla, and sends it off to a senator in Rome with strict instructions to open only if he dies before making a public announcement. Unfortunately, this letter lands in the lap of Falco, the senator who seems to side with Commodus in the film.
Right, okay.
So that's where I reckon we're going to set off from in my new movie.
So you're keeping conflict.
So yeah, it's going to, the new conflict is going to be about how Maximus ends up in as the emperor, if he manages to.
And he's told, is it Lucilla? Is that the name?
Yeah, Marcus Aurelius told Lucilla, he said, look, I've written this letter and I've sent it off to Rome. So
the next action is Marcus is going to tell Commodus. Sorry, Maximus has said, I accept.
Yes.
Let's get that out of the way.
Yep.
Marcus has told Lucilla.
And now he's gone and told Commodus as well.
Falco. He's told Commodus as well.
Yes. And so my thinking with this was, and this got cut, was basically I didn't really come up with an exact way for how a massive change for how he survives the situation, but more if he's speaking to Commodus and he kind of says it in a way where it's clear the finality of his decision is irreversible. You know, he's got like he doesn't tell him about the letter, but he's like, it's happening. then I think that maybe that slight detail. The thing is, right, Marcus tells Commodus it's almost like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm gonna make Max. Is that cool? I'm gonna make Maximus Emperor. Is that cool? And Commodus like, no, that's not cool. What, you've never loved me, and now you're not even gonna give me the job.
It's all my fault. It's all my fault. Yes.
He looks so surprised. He looks so surprised.
Terrible father.
Oh, I can't believe you're taking this so badly.
Oh, Commodus. It's all my fault.
It's all
my fault.
Dad, I'm a really bad person. Instead of going like, no, son, you're not. He's going like, yeah, and it's my fault that you're a bad person. So I'm just thinking like, look, if he goes into this situation and he's like, it's not like trying to mention it in passing the way that he did in the film, but he's saying to him like, you should know this decision has been made. There's already the wheels in motion. Then I think that it would just force Commodus's hand to just stay like, you can't just murder him in that situation because he's not even going to solve your problem anymore.
Okay, all right. So let's say Commodus doesn't murder Marcus, which Marcus could have done, as you say. I mean, that's one. You went down one avenue of a way of Marcus avoiding murder.
Yeah.
There are numerous.
He could have just had someone else in the
Almost
room.
any other way of doing it would have meant that he
Yes.
didn't get killed in patricide by Commodus. So instead, now the letter is with Falco. Now you mentioned Falco. I can only assume
He's the one.
that there's a reason. I know you mentioned he's obviously aligned with Commodus, but given that Marcus Aurelius is surviving, I can only assume you have a reason for this to be delivered to Falco. So what is it? Hit me.
Let's go. Question number 2. How does Commodus scheme to prevent Maximus's rise to power? Although Commodus doesn't murder his father immediately, his readiness for drastic action remains. With the war won and the key characters in a war-torn territory, Commodus begins to plot. As Marcus and his convoy make their way back to Rome to announce the new emperor, they are unexpectedly attacked by a Germanic tribe. Marcus is tragically killed during this ambush. In the ensuing chaos, Commodus quickly takes advantage of the situation to assert his claim to the throne, assuming he is the sole keeper of Marcus's true plans. Maximus, arriving shortly after to find Marcus is dead, is overwhelmed by grief and suspicion of foul play. Lacking any solid proof this time, and recognizing the complex political implications of his accusations, he reluctantly agrees to serve under Commodus temporarily. His decision is driven by a commitment to maintain stability for Rome and its people, despite his personal doubts and the turmoil within him. So I'm thinking Commodus is going to move quick, right? All he knows is Marcus has just said, I'm going to go back to Rome and I'm going to tell it. I'm going to make Maximus the emperor.
I'm going to tell Max.
I'm going to tell
Max
everyone
out.
that Max is the emperor.
Right. Okay.
And Commodus has gone, okay, I'm going to have to do something about this.
Yeah.
And he acts rashly, but maybe just doesn't murder him on the spot. But he still is like, I'm going to have to fucking do something about this.
All right. I'm upset with your decision. Let's keep it between us until you get to Rome.
And then, oh no, there's a load of barbarians. What?
Each spy shall die on time. So, all right. Here's my question. What was your thought process behind Maximus not having the same reaction that he had before?
Because it's much less obvious that Commodus has done what he's done. So in the film, it's very clear. Commodus has very clearly killed his dad. And so Commodus
died in his sleep. So.
It's like
Can't be helped.
with his nose like smooshed up against his fucking face, like blood all over his t-shirt. Like, yeah, he died in his sleep.
Horrible. It's a painful sleep.
And so in that situation, Maximus is like, yeah, okay. Right. But in this one, the benefit of the doubt keeps him from behaving in such a ballsy way, basically.
But how do we kill his wife and kids?
Oh, you know what? I actually didn't in this. I don't think that my alternative is better.
So he's not the father to a murdered son. the husband to a murdered wife.
Fuck.
He's just
No, because
father to a
when
son,
he gets home,
husband to a wife.
they've just been killed in a burglary gone wrong. That's
You know
my
what?
plot.
Whatever happened in this, Maximus's family was getting killed.
Whatever happened.
He could not stop it. It was inevitable. Go.
I've managed to change history.
All right.
Right.
Okay, perfect. I'm glad his family died. Right.
I could give you the final climax, and then we can because
Yeah,
I
go on.
kind of wrap most things up. I do a bit of a casino on us.
Okay.
Okay, so question number 3: how might the other characters now impact the outcome?
Okay.
So we have 4 characters in play in my little story. We have Maximus, we have Commodus, we have Lucilla, who knows that this letter exists, and we have Falco.
Okay.
Lucilla, aware of her father's letter, which nominates Maximus as his successor, finds herself in a precarious position. Opting for silence, she protects the critical secret, fearing for her safety and her son under Commodus's unpredictable rule. Falco, recognizing the letter's potential as a political bombshell, initially plans to use it as leverage to cement his own position under Commodus. However, as he perceives the instability of Commodus's reign, he sees an opportunity for a greater personal gain. Falco knows that Lucilla is terrified of Commodus. So he's gonna reach out to Lucilla because he wants to consolidate his power and blackmail Commodus. So Falco approaches Lucilla with a cunning proposal. Use the letter to blackmail Commodus into becoming a puppet ruler controlled by them. He believes Lucilla, resenting her brother, will be tempted by the chance to diminish Commodus's power whilst appearing to support him. Lucilla pretends to agree with Falco's plan, recognizing it as a way to manipulate him. She meets privately with Maximus, revealing both the existence of the letter and Falco's intentions. Together they devise a daring strategy to use the public revelation of the letter, not just to depose Commodus, but also to expose Falco's treachery, ensuring no other manipulations can undermine the rightful succession. The plan unfolds during Commodus's grand coronation. As Commodus revels in the ceremony, believing he has secured his power, Maximus and Lucilla step forward. The Senate and the crowd fall silent as Lucilla presents the letter, declaring Maximus as the rightful emperor, a decision Commodus tried to bury along with Marcus Aurelius himself. The revelation of Commodus's and Falco's machinations leads to immediate consequences. Commodus is arrested, his downfall marked by political rejection and the moral outrage of the Roman Empire. Falco, realizing too late that his manipulation has backfired, is left speechless and disgraced before the Senate. He is quickly exiled, a vivid reminder of the dangers of overreaching ambition. Maximus ascends as the new emperor, endorsed by the Senate and acclaimed by the people, committed to restoring the virtues and vision of Marcus Aurelius. Lucilla, by his side, vows to protect the legacy of Rome, ensuring her father's values endure in the new era. So that's my own little plot in the Gladiator universe.
Full circle fan fiction we have got to. So I really like it. I didn't have any major notes other than to comment on how it differs from the actual plot.
Sure.
So obviously we don't get any Gladiator revenge, so that is going to be worse. But
That's where the problems start, Freddie.
the problem is the best parts of the original film will be removed.
Are you not entertained? It's like, no, nothing's happening.
I'm not. I'm bored.
This is a shit film.
So
How did this get?
becomes kind of a run-of-the-mill but still intriguing political espionage, which will actually tie in. We're going to have some similarities with my wife. But what could we do to improve it? So obviously the death of his family.
Yeah. Trial by combat.
I was thinking this, maybe we make them both Falco and Commodus
Fight to the death.
gladiators. Well, yeah, fight to the death. That's their punishment. And then the winner just has to become a gladiator. Because then at least the title of the film remains the same.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I didn't think of that. I don't know why it would be called. I don't know why it would be called.
Why did we call this Gladiator again?
Well, we did have a really good plot. And then some idiot came in and suggested we change it.
Renamed The Stoic Letter.
The lack of fighting is one bit. The other thing is as well, the protagonist, who seems to still be Maximus,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really have to overcome anything. He's just vibing like the whole movie.
Probably the new protagonist.
Protagonist?
The new protagonist
It'd
is
be Lucilla.
Lucilla, probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, which would be very contemporary of me.
Gladiatress.
Yeah. Ooh.
Ooh.
It would be very modern of us to do that.
That's true. This is a retelling. 100%. Gladiatress.
Gladiator kicks ass, kills a tiger. Wait, he does
does.
though. Another belter of a scene.
Oh, yeah. Kills a tiger.
So yeah, I mean, there's some.
What I do like, and I want to stress this, is that you genuinely have made an improvement to. This is our classic one change format of we're going to try and find a way of improving. Certainly the plot, the plot and the action and the story is worse, but but does it matter if the reason we got there actually makes sense?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Because the
yeah,
reason it makes no sense. This is going to come up in my what if as well. It makes absolutely no sense. Just how Marcus Aurelius is as a person. He comes in, causes carnage.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be a good philosopher.
He is
philosopher
like
Roman.
85. He's been leading his whole. People have been making attempts on his life for his whole career,
Oh yeah, that bit like.
and he just doesn't think that this could be like a risk. Look at your kid. Look at his eyes. Look at his creepy little eyes. You're gonna tell him he's not emperor, assume nothing's gonna go wrong with no backup.
The man who you couldn't get him pets. You couldn't get your kids pets, could you? Because they all died in their sleep.
Because
They sleep on their face and they're smashed.
their faces got smushed in.
He's peacefully died, they say. Sorry, old nibbles. So, yeah, I think that bit makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, okay.
I think what, if we're part 2 or maybe audience suggestions is to how to have that while still retaining the amazingness of the film.
I toyed with trying to make this change and then see how quickly I could get it straight back onto the Gladiator plot.
Okay, so here's what I was thinking as a suggestion for that is Maximus does say Commodus killed. Yeah. This Germanic attack was caused by Commodus. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm going, see ya. Yeah. I'm going to mount a charge, but I need to get out of here. And then we have the same storyline happens up to that point. Yeah. But in play is still the letter and Lucilla. So maybe instead of the ending where Commodus bizarrely decides to fight him in an arena and wound him, whatever, you could get rid of the ending, which I don't like, which I've mentioned, or not don't like, but
room for improvement.
Maybe you bring the letter into play there somehow. So then you still get all the cool stuff.
The letter comes out near the end of our real movie, the one that happened. The letter comes out, and then he's forced to go and fight in the pits.
Yeah. And the kid has to fight the pits as well.
Lucilla
the kid finds the letter, and then Commodus chucks him in a pit.
And then everyone goes, "Hang on a minute, Lucilla, did you know about this letter for this whole film?" And then Lucilla's like, "Well,"
and then Falco goes, "Crowe!"
All right, well, thank you so much for listening. If you have any ideas on how we can make this better, please let us know in the comments below. Please like and subscribe. Yeah. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks. Right. Gladiator. My what if. Jambo, every week we propose a change to the film we're reviewing and explore the ramifications of this hypothetical scenario. Today, we're diving into a thought-provoking what if for Gladiator, Ridley Scott's 2000 Swords and Sandals epic. Presenting, what if Marcus Aurelius was a good dad? But before we jump into this fascinating alternate reality, I'll be honest with you, it's going to be similar to your what if. my big issue with this bloody film. Marcus Aurelius, what are you on about? We'll get into it. Before we jump in, if you're watching and you don't find us insufferable, please feel free to hit the like button and subscribe if you like this style of content. Really helps us out and ensures you won't miss any of these other what ifs that we carry on doing, or just let us know if you disliked it. So, what if Marcus Aurelius was a good father? Let's start by laying out why Marcus Aurelius wasn't exactly winning any Father of the Year awards in Gladiator. Throughout his reign as Caesar, Marcus was more focused on military campaigns than on being present for his son, Commodus. This created a massive emotional gap between father and son, typified by the scene where Commodus squeezed him to death. Yeah. Remember that scene earlier in the film where Marcus humiliates Commodus in front of the soldiers by refusing to embrace him on his arm? Was that a bit in the version that you saw? I realised I watched an extended cut, so you may have seen this, you may have not.
There's an extended cut.
I didn't really. It was
I'm watching that.
So it's a small moment, but it speaks volumes about their relationship. It's just one example of several in the first 10 minutes of how Marcus failed to show his son any real love or affection, which is all he needed. It's all he was after, you know? I mean, he was a bit tapped, but come on. Then there's a letter Marcus sends to Commodus that Commodus referenced, listing all the traits a good leader needs. Do you remember that? Traits he knows his son doesn't have. It's not just tough love, this. It's more like setting Commodus up for failure. And let's not forget Marcus's blatant favoritism towards Maximus, treating him as the son he wished he had instead of nurturing the one he did have. Finally, in his death scene, Marcus even admits that Commodus's behaviour is all his fault. Yeah. As if that will absolve him from the guilt and from the issues.
You're not a bad guy. He went, yeah, I agree. But it is my fault.
But you are really bad.
You're a creep.
Terrible.
You're a weird little gremlin.
We all talk about you behind your back.
But it's my fault. So that makes it okay.
So, he knows he's failed as a father, and that failure sets the stage for the tragedy that follows. Now, I want one little caveat on this, similar to your one. For the sake of this discussion, let's assume that Marcus is still nearing his death. Yeah. So, just like in the film, he does die within a matter of days of when he actually dies in the film.
It wasn't perhaps by way of Germanic tribe.
Mollycoddled in the breast of a weird pasty Joaquin. Other than that, we're free to speculate on what might have happened if Marcus Aurelius had been a good father. So, first up, what do you think, Jambo? How would Marcus Aurelius being a good father change Commodus's character?
Oh, he wouldn't need to prove himself nearly as badly.
All of the issues, right? All of the issues that he mentioned were just enhanced by Marcus Aurelius's distance to it.
Yeah. Everything he does is like he's just trying to earn that love off of somebody. The Roman people hate him. The Senate don't look after him. His dad doesn't love him.
It starts with his dad.
And it starts with his dad.
It starts with his dad being unloving and not giving him the attention that he needed.
Yeah.
And then making a person who has traits which are dark triad. Yeah. Let's be honest. And talking of, let's have a look. So I had a little psychological assessment drawn up by ChatGPT, and it expressed that Commodus displays several troubling traits. Just to list some examples that it gave, potentially we've got narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, and with comorbid traits. And there's also evidence of an Oedipal complex with psychodynamic perspective.
It's a lot of labels.
Take my word for it, all right?
A lot of labels.
The guy's tapped.
Very creative way of
with
saying.
With apologies to anyone with Oedipal complex from a psychodynamic perspective. You're tapped, mate. So, NPD characterised an inflated sense of self-importance, a deep need of admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. So we see this in Commodus's grandiose behaviour and his obsession with power and recognition. ASPD, on the other hand, includes a disregard for the rights of others, deceitfulness, impulsivity, Summer from 500 Days of Summer. Ping, ping, ping. So Commodus' ruthless actions. I mean, the geezer murdered his own father.
Yeah. That's just one of the things.
One
that
of
he
many.
did. Yeah.
Then there's BPD, which can involve intense emotions, unstable relationships, and a fear of abandonment. I mean, more than any, this might be where he falls into, because it's clear that he has an emotional range, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he does feel devotion to certain people. So I don't know if he's necessarily unemotional or unempathetic.
For sure.
But he's definitely playing in the extremes. The sort of thing, he needs some sort of anchor. He needs a good father figure.
Yeah, 100%.
To help out.
I was watching a video where it's talking about the psychological profile of this guy, and they were like, the reason that he is in love with his sister is because he just so badly craves acceptance from his family.
Yeah.
It's like he's just getting confused between romantic love and like he's just so confused by it all.
Yeah, exactly that. Like this guy, he's not been blessed with the best hand in the deck, but you got to give him as much of a chance as possible rather than just completely abandoning the fella, because that's just going to nurture the wrong.
It's going to make it worse.
Exactly that. And also, now this is a point worth bringing up. So there's evidence within real life that a healthy and stable family environment will mitigate the more destructive tendencies of people with disorders such as these. So generally speaking, I mean, 1 in 100 people are psychopaths, for instance, and not 1 in 100 people are, murderous, raving lunatics. Usually it's people who just view the world slightly differently, and that is because of how they are raised, typically. Yeah. So we've got someone who is more on the end of a danger to society. It's because of how he's bloody raised, all right?
It didn't help,
Marcus Aurelius, who's all pally with Maximus.
Yeah.
Do it to your own son, mate, all right?
That's a very good point, right? Is like it's not like, oh, I'm a Caesar, I don't have time, because he's best mates with Maximus.
Yeah, he
like,
well
he loves the guy. He loves the guy. He's got time for him, anyway. And look, I get it, all right? I would want to hang out with Maximus more than Commodus.
I want to be the husband. I want to be the wife. I want to be the murdered wife.
I'll be the kid. I'll be the murdered kid.
We want to be murdered by Maximus.
But I mean, I'd rather hang out with Russell Crowe than bloody creepy McGee over there.
Look, all right,
with the black eye, fucking on both sides.
It doesn't matter if you
because of all the hug deaths that he's causing.
Look, you might prefer someone else's kids to your own,
but when they look like that, you need to do something about it. You can't just leave them to it.
Don't just leave them to their own devices.
Give a load of shit.
It's your responsibility. Stop hanging around with other people's kids.
Oh, I don't have time. Look how much cooler Maximus is.
All right, so we'll digress. That was the first point.
Oh, is that on the video?
Should we end it there? Stop hanging around with other people's kids. So, this nature versus nurture, it sounds like we agree that if Marcus Aurelius had been a more, caring, responsible father figure,
yes,
Commodus would have not turned out the way he did.
A quick addition as well. Scared of the dark. Probably wouldn't be if he had a decent, he's an adult. If you have a good, healthy upbringing, you're less likely to be scared of the dark. But because he is scared of the dark, he doesn't sleep. And that fucks a person up.
Oh, is that why he looks so horrible?
Yes. Yeah, that's why he has the eyes, is because he has insomnia. And it suggests twice in the movie that the reason that he doesn't sleep is because of his fear of the dark.
Oh my God.
Yeah. This guy is the more that I think about it, the more I feel so bad for this
terrible
guy.
Father. Terrible father. So, Jambo, what would this mean for the succession to the Caesarship?
Would it just mean that we've got we've now got the 6 good emperors rather than the 5? We just got another good one, and Marcus is a good dad, so he just goes like Yeah, you're the next emperor, and then Commodus goes, I promise I'll do a good job.
And we all lived happily ever after, and we're Roman. We're all Roman now, because Commodus could sleep. Well, effectively, if Marcus Aurelius had been a good father, I agree. I think that Commodus would have taken up. I think
he'd have given it to him.
I think Maximus would have gone home.
Yeah. Everyone would have been, yeah, 100%.
Maximus would have gone home.
There were no problems left.
In my version of the story, as in yours, Maximus' family is still killed in an unrelated incident. But just because we don't want to change everything.
But in this one, a wild dog got into the house. Someone's Rottweiler got in.
Have no fear. Maximus is still father to a murdered wife, son, husband. Maximus' family is brown bread.
How do you get him in the pits then? How do we get him in?
Okay, so don't worry about Maximus.
Okay.
He's all right.
We don't need to
He's
anymore.
not a gladiator.
Yeah.
And there's some historical precedent for this. There's a lot of it, actually. Commodus, I don't know how much of the history you know around this at all.
A small amount, yeah.
Yeah.
Cursory.
He was named co-emperor during Marcus Aurelius's lifetime.
3 years or something, right?
Yeah, 3 years. They were pally.
Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius was a good father.
Yeah.
I mean, we've both read Meditations, I think.
Yeah.
He talks about his son all the time. I don't know if it's the same son, but he's not.
No,
He's not.
Yeah.
He loves his son.
Yeah.
They changed that for the
Massively,
film.
yeah. He doesn't. The real Commodus doesn't have a weird thing with his sister. Although, do you know about the real thing with Commodus and his sister?
No, go on.
Oh,
Go on, tell us.
It is juicy. There is a story there. In reality, Lucilla is crazy in love with Commodus. And that is unrequited. That's he doesn't love her back. And then Commodus gets married, and Lucilla tries to kill her, I think.
Oh,
and
wow.
then Commodus turns insane because of the betrayal, because it's his wife and his sister who are and so that's
and he was a disastrous emperor.
Yeah.
Is it because of that turn, or is that
My
just...
understanding is that it was more just because the abundance got to his head.
Oh, okay. All right.
But my understanding, that is what I'm told is the real story about
Wow.
Commodus and his sister.
Okay, that's very
It
interesting.
is quite mad, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really interesting. Maybe cut that out. That's good.
That's a
Good
chore.
knowledge. You fucking don't pretend we don't teach stuff on this.
No one's pretending shit. No one listens.
All right. Well, you can listen to me tell some more shit, all right? In this scenario, the transition of power would be much smoother. Commodus would ascend to the throne with the support of the Senate and the army. Maximus, who was Marcus's favourite in the film, would be allowed to retire peacefully to his farm, and he would come back to see his deceased family. The need for Maximus to become a gladiator driven by vengeance simply wouldn't exist. At this point, our movie title would shift from Gladiator to Commodus.
Ooh.
As we focus on his reign as the new Caesar.
Ooh, okay.
So, I added a tiny bit in just before writing this. How would you like Marcus Aurelius to die?
Ooh, well, I've already taken ambush by paid off Germanic
Germans.
tribe, so that's Bagseed. But I
didn't
was
give any
thinking, I know
options.
one of the ones that came to me when I was coming up with mine was that he was getting out of his carriage and he took a bad step and just hit the decks, and his old ass was just toast after that.
It would have been hard for... In your version, we were like, "Ooh, did Commodus have anything to do with it?" That 100% would not have been.
Wouldn't have been Commodus.
Happy coincidence.
Commodus wasn't even there.
Okay, well, he takes a bad step.
Well, okay, here's the thing, right? I tell you, they are setting off from the northern frontier of the Roman Empire, which is 750 miles from Rome. It takes at least 4 weeks to get home. I was thinking, there's tons of opportunities for this old fogey.
Yeah.
That's 4 weeks, traveling every day on very well every day. Realistically, it'd probably be more than that. At his age,
I'd say he read his own book,
yeah,
put himself to sleep, and didn't wake up.
yeah. Which, I'll be honest, it's got some good messages,
Yeah.
but
Read the odd line.
makes me want to go to sleep permanently.
Makes me want to kill Maximus's family. Right, so okay, so Marcus Aurelius, he falls off a step. So now we go into Commodus's reign. Does he realise Marcus Aurelius's dream for Rome? Do you remember what Marcus Aurelius's dream for Rome was?
No.
It's that Rome becomes a republic.
Okay.
So
What is a republic?
no Caesar. Senate has control again.
Okay.
which is what Maximus... I actually noted you didn't do in your what if, but Maximus took power at the end when in the actual Gladiator, Maximus says, give the power back to the Senate. There shouldn't be a Caesar.
Yeah, right.
I won't go into the historicity of this again, but that is just not what anyone wanted. Marcus Aurelius didn't want that. I mean, he gave the emperorship to his son during his reign, starting off a dynastic succession. But yeah, in this version, he wants a republic. Now, obviously, Commodus has been raised right. He would know what his father's plan is. His father has died. Mm-hmm. Maybe he said, you'll be in line for succession, but this is what I want. I want to give it back to the people. So you need to make sure that it's in a good place to do that.
Yeah.
So that's where we start this.
He's not doing it.
But this is our issue. He actually is. He does have ASPD.
Yeah.
He does potentially have, borderline personality disorder. He's got some
a
mix.
lot of problems, yeah. There's not... Is it... Okay, Marcus was a bad dad.
Yeah.
Fair. But that's not the only reason that Commodus is the way he is.
No.
And that much power.
Nature, yeah. I think that it is unlikely Commodus would fulfill Marcus's dream of Republican Rome. Instead, he'd likely seek to solidify his rule and perhaps even expand his influence. So while he's not as bad of a character and he's not as whiny and mopey and childlike, he's actually much more shrewd. Yeah. And he does want the power. He wants to be in that position of authority. Mm-hmm. So the rest of the film, Commodus, is a political espionage thriller.
Ooh.
So
what's the conflict?
Our story would shift from revenge-driven gladiator epic to a political espionage. In this version, Commodus, now a more calculating and strategic leader, would focus on consolidating his power in a corrupt Rome, which is, as Marcus Aurelius had mentioned, he's trying to basically shore up his resources and getting to a point where he is hegemonic with all of these different Senate figures in play. Yeah. So he'd work to monopolize authority away from the Senate, ensuring that his reign remains unchallenged. Characters like Gracchus and Gaius, who represent the Senate, would play crucial roles in this new narrative. And instead of openly opposing Commodus, they might engage in secret alliances, backdoor deals, and covert operations to try and curb his power. So we could get into the sort of stuff that you were going in with. Maybe we get Lucilla involved, maybe Falco as well. It becomes, again, a much different film, probably for the worse, but makes more sense because Marcus Aurelius makes sense.
It has so much potential for the kind of Game of Thrones political sort of game. It had like the universe that they have set Gladiator in, the conflict that takes place. It's asking for this kind of this kind of problem, like with like the senators and Lucilla and everyone kind of playing a much more intricate game. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it probably just wouldn't be as good. But
no, but we also have Maximus. It would be cool. Maybe Maximus does become a gladiator anyway.
Just because he fancies it.
Just because he, wants to see his wife and kids.
Yeah.
And he's like, rather than suicide, I will do the noble profession of being a gladiator.
And then he just can't die.
Because he's mint.
He just keeps entertaining them.
Yeah, so he just keeps asking people if they're entertained. He becomes a minstrel.
No, my name is the Spaniard. It's the entertainer. No. Least Spanish sounding man in history.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, and I am Spanish. So yeah, we've got a political chess game. The stakes would be higher, with the future of Rome at risk, not through open warfare, but through subtle manipulation, strategic moves, and the backdrop of Maximus, a rogue, entertaining Spaniard,
just doing his own thing,
carving people up in the background. And maybe Commodus does go mad like he did in real life. You may have heard that Commodus also did enter the gladiatorial arena in real life for some reason. So maybe it comes to a head in that way, where he has his political battle with the Senate. Perhaps he loses and he goes in, or perhaps he wins and he goes crazy and goes in, and the Spaniard has to put him to death.
I like it, man. I like it.
Very nice. I hope you all enjoyed that. That was my what if, taking a look at what if Marcus Aurelius wasn't totally incompetent. How would it look as a film? Certainly very different. Wouldn't be called Gladiator, but Maximus's family would still be dead. Hope you enjoyed all that. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe. If not, well, can't be able
Comment.
to.
If you liked it, like and subscribe. If you don't like it, comment.
Comment. Brilliant. Thanks. Comment.
Thanks, guys.
Comment to Jambo.
That was fucking awesome, that mate. Good job. Again, you're always good at this.
That was fun. I think that we had a fun bit of conversation around it. I got to the point where we're actually the thing is with both of ours, we get to the point where we're actually telling the story, and the story is worse because Gladiator is mint.
Gladiator is so
his
good.
revenge story is mint.
But it relies on two kind of dumb things at the start.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like where it just shouldn't have gone wrong. You know what I mean? I guess I can see Marcus being a bit of a shit dad potentially because he's so busy. But even then, it's still pretty wild how much he seems
to be good enough dad to Maximus, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's
Maximus
it, yeah.
even goes at the end, like when he dies, he goes, "Father."
Yeah.
You're like,
He even said, "You were the son I should have had," or something.
Yeah.
So you'd have fucked him up too, wouldn't you?
Yeah. It's good that he wasn't.
Imagine if
'cause Maximus
Commodus
was
had
sick.
I had a quick comment on something in the film. You know when Marcus asks Maximus, like, "Oh, tell me about your home." It's a simple place. And then it cuts to his house later, and it's like a 15-bed fucking chateau in Spain with like acres and acres of like it smells of herbs. It smells of herbs in the day and rosemary in the night.
Sweat of the slaves.
And the 15 butlers.
The men work in the fields.
I hadn't noticed it before, but when he said it, he was like, "Oh, it's a simple place," and I was just thinking, "There's no way it's a simple place after the number of different things that you've just told me grow in your garden."
Yeah.
It's like we have olives on the north hill,
Olives on the north.
the north side of my hill.
Very simple. It's a simple hill.
It's a simple hot tub.
I've got a simple hot wife. She's simple. She's like your daughter, who I have also been with. I've been with everyone.
Should we go on to our critical score?
Yeah,
We're running low on time.
Yeah, we better just blast through these 8.
Right, so what did you give it, Freddie? You give it an 8.0.
8.0.
And then what did I give it?
9.5.
That's the biggest I've ever done. I'm so happy with that one as well.
Only
I feel good
that's
about
the second of all time, I think, because I only beat it with Princess Bride.
Princess Bride, yeah.
Fuck.
What did you give that? 9.7?
9.8.
9.8. Okay, cool. So, plot.
So outside of the big gripe and the ending, those are my two issues.
It's kind
Other
of
than that-
bookended with some kind of slight. How would you describe it? They're not
sour
they
note
could
on
have
the
been
end.
They could have been thought through a little
Yeah.
better, but the 95%, the 90% of this plot is really, really just fucking awesome. It's just bookended by kind of. I'm not even sure I go as far as saying blunders. They're just kind of inaccuracies. They're just kind of like most people watching it probably aren't there going, "Hang on a minute, well, what if Marcus was a good dad?"
Yeah, it's
Most people
true.
don't give a fuck.
You don't really mind that. For me, I didn't mind that until I had to think of something to change.
Yeah, that's it.
I
Same
never
here.
really liked the ending that much, but
Right.
whatever.
So what do you reckon for plot?
Well, it's either an 8 or 9, in my opinion. I'm going to go 8 because the Marcus Aurelius thing is quite major.
It is quite important, especially
Just
because
purely
of
on
the history.
plot, like just the story itself.
Yeah.
We're not talking about all the other stuff that it's going to do well, and I think 8.
So character.
10.
Yeah.
I think the character's a 10.
Obviously Maximus is a 10. And then I think that in the same way that Joffrey is a high number, so like you hate him, You don't like
Yeah,
him, but-
I reckon Commodus is a great character. I wasn't the biggest fan of the performance,
Yeah.
but I think... And Lucilla's good.
Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius is good. His decisions are silly, but like it's good character.
It's a good
It's
character.
pretty cool.
It's
old man
Marcus.
character.
It's Marcus Aurelius.
Marcus Aurelius. Like
Right.
they actually have chosen someone famous, someone I've heard of.
Yeah.
Even like the other gladiators in the pits are like Oliver Reed. Brilliant.
Yeah. You're right. I didn't even we've been speaking for probably over an hour now, and I haven't once even got to the other gladiators that
Yeah.
you like for who are all fucking
Sick.
awesome.
Yeah, 10.
All right, cool.
Dialogue is good. Very
it? Yeah,
good,
yeah.
isn't it?
I'm never really clear on this one.
I know, but you know how we like moments of really cool dialogue.
Yeah, the Are You Not Entertained?
Father to a
Opposite
murdered
something.
son.
Yes.
Husband to a murdered
I
wife.
actually
love
I
this
get goosebumps just thinking about
Yeah.
that moment.
Goosebumps. It just bumps it up.
It's just.
I mean, there are a few scenes like when he's speaking to that the Numidian slave, and he's discussing like his family, and is the guy? Oh, actually, this might have been a deleted scene as well. I don't know, but he speaks to the Numidian slave, who's talks to him about how are your mother and are your wife and son alive, and then he's like no, and then you're like. You're going to see him again, but not yet.
Yeah,
that guy, like that sounded cooler
not
than it was
10
in
out
my
of
head. Yeah, I thought some of those scenes are a bit whatever, but love the Oliver Reed scene.
Yeah.
That monologues. Yeah, I would say it's a 8 or 9. 8 or 9. I'll go 9 for the moments for me.
let's go. Good man. Right, performance.
So
So we know Joaquin. What would you give just Joaquin's performance out of 10 alone?
Like a 7.
Okay, like middle of the road.
It's good. It's
Some
little things I
issues.
don't really like, and
Okay.
so I'll give it to him.
And then let's just rattle off the other characters without going through their performance yet. We've got Russell Crowe.
Yeah,
We've
Maximus,
got Oliver
Marcus
Reed.
Aurelius, whatever his name is, Oliver Reed.
Premise.
Yeah, Proximo. Lucilla, Derek Jacobi's character, who's one of the senators.
Yep.
Falco.
Yep.
So
That's enough to give us an idea of performance. So what do we reckon for those guys?
pretty good. Probably another 9 for me. Or maybe
What would you rate Russell
Maybe
Crowe?
an 8 actually. I
feel
think
like
Russell
8
Crowe's
feels
really good.
more- Yeah.
Yeah, Russell Crowe's great, and then the other, let's say 8.
Russell Crowe's comfortably a 9.
Yeah, but you could, to be honest, you know how I say my performance is how high they are based on how many other actors could you see doing that.
Okay.
I think it's an amazing role. Russell Crowe does amazingly well, but there are other people.
It's a character.
I mean,
thing.
you said,
so 8. We're going with 8. I'm happy with 8. I'll take that. Visuals.
pretty spectacular.
It's hard for me to. I haven't watched 20 films from the year 2000, so I don't know for certain how it holds up in time. But it seemed like we've done obviously a few films around it, and it looked pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah, there's a few CGI bits like the Oliver Reed when they actually CGI'd his face on something you could tell. And you said the
Skyline when they were doing
sometimes.
when it was like Rome, when there were some shots of like sunset over Rome, and it was quite clearly just like a cardboard set thing or whatever. Like it wasn't very well done. But if you remove the blunders, the bulk of it, what do we think? Like if you just said without the mistakes,
8 is great.
And then are those blunders bad enough to knock it down from an 8 to a 7?
No, I don't think so. I think
Okay.
it's great.
Cool.
And also like visuals, a lot of the direction comes into that. So
Yeah.
the cinematography and the shot selection.
Yeah.
Scope of the fight scenes. I mean, I don't know if this is deleted or not, but the fight scenes against the Germanic tribe I thought wasn't as good, but all of the Gladiator fight scenes were incredible.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sound. Did you notice how much it sounded like a different film?
What do you mean?
Mate. Right. Talk to me about sound for a minute. I am listening.
Got a score that is recognizable. I wouldn't say it's one of the absolute
I agree.
greats, but still it's left a mark. For me, anything that leaves a mark to an extent should be above a 7. So if I had to guess, I'd say, if I had to choose, I'd say an 8.
I think that is pretty much bang on where my head was at. Cool. Yeah. Right, okay, hang on. So this is a song from Gladiator. Tell me what it sounds like to you.
Oh yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean.
It gets worse.
When did... Oh, they came out right around the same time, but this was before.
This is 3 years earlier.
Ooh. So... Yeah, I recognise this.
I was watching it, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, are they playing Pirates of the Caribbean 3 years before it came out?
That's mad, actually.
How the hell have they pulled that off?
Pirates of the Caribbean is 100% a 10 for score.
Yeah, yeah.
This is...
And you don't, like...
You're like, this is copying Pirates of the Caribbean.
Came out years before.
I don't care. Should have done it more famously, shouldn't you?
So we landed on 8.
8.
Okay, Impact.
I will say one reason for 8.
Yeah.
I don't think that fits the Gladiator. I'm not saying it's
No,
bad.
I think that's...
It doesn't fit it as
we've
well
watched it on Pirates of the
as
Caribbean
it fits
so
the
much.
pirates
I
theme.
know, but it could just be... I don't know. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I'll give it 8, but I'm saying that's why it's not a 10.
Okay. Impact. Box office impact. Gladiator was a commercial success, grossing over $460 million in 2000, reinvigorating interest in historical epic genre, which led to films like Troy and Alexander. Awards and critical acclaim. The film won 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Actor for Russell Crowe, cementing its status as a critical darling and influenced future epic films. I'm only going to read 3. Cultural resurgence of Roman themes. Its success sparked and renewed interest in Roman history and culture, noticeable in television series like Roman Spartacus and in gaming. Innovative use of CGI on Oliver Reed's face.
Yeah. It doesn't look as innovative now, but for the time, obviously.
I didn't realize it won Best Picture and Best Lead Actor. That's wild.
It's a 10, isn't it?
It's gotta be, sure.
Yeah. Bang it in. It's gonna be good. That's
right.
Very high, that.
Look away. I'm gonna read it out to you. Right, where are we? There. Okay, cool. So Gladiator has now been rated out of 10 in 9 different categories. We have rated it the following: 8.0 out of 10 for Fred, 9.5 out of 10 for Jambo. That is enjoyment. Then we have gone for plot, 8, character, 10, dialogue, 9, performance, 8, visuals, 8, sound, 8, impact, 10, giving it an average score of 8.72 out of 10, making it the 5th greatest film of all time until further notice, putting it, this has happened again, just behind Dune Part 2 and just ahead of Team America World Police.
2 belters. 2 belters. Belting films.
Some other films that we put it ahead. It's ahead of Silence of the Lambs, just a couple places. Ahead of Apocalypse Now. Ahead of Psycho. It's behind Godfather. It's behind Jaws. It's behind 12 Angry Men. And it's behind Dune Part 2. And that's it. They're the only films ahead of it.
Yeah, it's pretty... Yeah.
It's placed it pretty nicely, I think.
Pretty good, yeah. I would personally, I think that my gut reaction is about an 8. I'd say a couple of notches below. But then again, Team America, I'm not too upset at being above Team America. But
yeah, absolutely
maybe
deserves to be above Team America.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. There's some great films. How low would I even put it? You know what? There's so many good films out there. I like when we get a rating and they're like, holy shit. 8.72, pretty high. Will anything catch the Godfather?
Yeah. When we do Lord of the Rings,
ooh, yeah,
that
would be so high.
Because I don't
want
to give spoilers or anything.
I'm gonna give a massive score for Lord of the Rings.
Might beat Gladiator for me in gut reaction.
What other one was I thinking would do well? Shawshank.
Yeah.
Shawshank would do amazingly well.
Right, okay. Well, listen, thank you so much for listening this far. Really, really appreciate it. Tune in next week. We got Trap coming out soon. The old Blade Runner is also coming out very, very soon. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Spotify. Check us out on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening. Cheers,
Thank you very much. Cheers, Dave.